Over the years, I've seen it all with Mazda owners. Mistakes that send SKYACTIV engines to the shop and leave owners regretting their choices. In this video, I'm breaking down 15 things stupid people do to their Mazdas that are frankly just asking for trouble. One of them is so common you might not even realize it's slowly destroying your car. These are the critical mistakes every Mazda owner needs to steer clear of. Mistake number 15. Frequent engine cycling. Turning the engine on and off repeatedly can cause wear. Unless you're idling for long periods, like at every stoplight, the wear is minimal, but any part used more will wear out faster. You need to judge when it makes sense to shut off the engine. For example, don't hold the clutch in for too long. Shift to neutral and use the handbrake. The same goes for waiting in traffic. If you're stopped for a few minutes, turning the engine off can help reduce wear. Your Mazda's SKYACTIV engine is designed with iStop technology that automatically shuts off at stoplights, so it can't be that bad. Plus, it helps save fuel. Still, turning the engine off too often manually can cause other problems. You might flood the engine or stress parts unnecessarily. The fuel saved by turning the engine off is likely small, especially when you factor in the extra fuel to restart it. In most cases, idling for a minute or two is fine. Mistake number 14. Shutting down the engine immediately after a hard drive. This is not a good practice, and you shouldn't. But in all honesty, you'll get away with it on most SKYACTIV engines. When you turn off the engine, you stop the systems that circulate oil and coolant. These systems keep your engine cool. After a hard drive, the engine can get very hot. If you turn it off too soon, the heat stays trapped inside. This is called heat soak. The engine stays much hotter than usual. Modern Mazdas are designed to handle these heat cycles, and they do a great job at it. Older Mazdas, however, develop issues like cracked exhaust manifolds from thermal stress. Newer SKYACTIV engines are more resilient to these temperature extremes. But if you have a turbocharged Mazda, like the CX-9 with the 2.5T engine or a Mazda Speed model, this is a different story. Turbos can spin up to 100,000 revolutions per minute. If you shut off the engine too soon, you stop the oil flow to the turbo before it slows down. This can cause damage, as many turbo owners learned the hard way in the 1980s. So if you've been driving your Mazda hard, let your engine idle for a minute before turning it off. This allows everything to cool down properly. Mistake number 13. Disconnecting the battery cable to test an alternator. A while ago, disconnecting the battery cable to test your alternator was a standard test. If the engine kept running after the cable was removed, it meant the alternator was working. But don't try this with modern Mazdas. You'll fry your car's computer and expensive electronics instantly. Today's Mazdas are packed with computers and sensitive electronics. Disconnecting the battery while the engine is running causes a dangerous voltage spike. This surge can reach 25 to 125 volts in just milliseconds. Your Mazda has advanced systems like SKYACTIV technology, iActive Sense safety features, and the Mazda Connect infotainment system. All of these rely on delicate electronic control units, so forget about using the old cable disconnect test. It's risky and outdated. Instead, use a voltmeter to check the alternator or visit an auto parts store for a free charging system diagnostic test. Mistake number 12. Leaving old gasoline to overstay. If you're not planning to drive your Mazda for several months, it's important to take precautions. Modern gasoline contains ethanol, which can break down over time. In the past, gasoline didn't have this problem. It was primarily made of octane, about 90%, heptane, about 6%, and additives, about 4%. This mix could sit for months without forming varnishes. But today, with ethanol added, things have changed. Ethanol mixes with other chemicals in the fuel. This causes the fuel to separate and can create problems when you start the engine. Ethanol floats to the top of the tank. When you first start your Mazda, it burns the regular gasoline, which isn't a big issue. But as you use more fuel, the engine starts burning the ethanol-heavy mix. This can cause firing problems and make your SKYACTIV engine run poorly. Your Mazda's high-compression SKYACTIV engine is particularly sensitive to fuel quality. To avoid this, fill the tank before storing the car. When you return, drive the car until the tank is half empty, then fill it up with fresh gasoline to keep everything running well. Mistake number 11. Harsh acceleration. Your Mazda is built to handle tough conditions, but pushing it too hard all the time isn't good for it. So what's harsh acceleration? It's when you press the gas pedal too quickly or too hard. This sudden burst of speed puts a lot of strain on the engine and other parts. When you hit the pedal, air mixes with fuel, creating an explosion that pushes the piston. The faster this happens, the more stress it puts on your Mazda. Imagine the SKYACTIV engine spinning from 900 RPM to over 7,000 RPM. That's more than 7 times faster. It's a lot of pressure on the engine, transmission, gears, and bearings. Sure, Mazdas are built for zoom driving and tough conditions, but constantly redlining the engine puts everything under strain. Over time, that leads to more wear and tear. This is why race cars and rally cars need constant care. They face extreme acceleration. So take it easy on the pedal. Smooth, gradual acceleration helps your Mazda last longer and saves you money on repairs. Mistake number 10. Running on deflated tires. When a tire is flat, the rim grinds against the pavement and causes damage to both the tire and the rim. This can drive up repair costs. Worse, driving on a flat reduces traction, making it harder to steer. This increases the risk of losing control. A flat tire also puts extra strain on your Mazda's suspension and braking system. Over time, this can lead to misalignment and other costly repairs. To make matters worse, running on a flat tire consumes more fuel. If you must drive on a flat, keep your speed low. This minimizes the risk of damaging the rim and losing control of your Mazda. It's best to drive slowly and only if absolutely necessary to get to a safer location. Prevention is always better than cure. Make routine tire maintenance a habit. Check your tires regularly for cuts, bulges, or punctures. Also check tire pressure at least monthly using a reliable gauge. Mistake number 9. Using water as coolant in your SKYACTIV engine. Water boils at a much lower temperature than coolant. Coolants are designed to handle the high heat inside your Mazda's SKYACTIV engine. They can take the heat without boiling, keeping your car running smoothly. If you use water, the engine can quickly overheat, especially in hot weather or under heavy load. When water boils, it creates steam pockets in the cooling system. Steam can't cool the engine, leading to hot spots. Those hot spots can warp engine parts and cause damage. Water also speeds up rust. Your Mazda's cooling system is metal, and water can cause rust, especially untreated water. Rust leads to corrosion, leaks, and blockages. If you're not using distilled water, rust will happen even faster. In cold weather, water is even worse. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it freezes, it expands. This can crack hoses, radiators, and even your SKYACTIV engine block. Always use genuine Mazda FL22 long life coolant. It's specifically formulated for your Mazda's aluminum SKYACTIV engine and protects against both freezing and overheating. Generic green coolant or mixing coolant types causes corrosion that eats through radiators and water pumps from inside. Mistake number 8. Using loose floor mats and liners. When a mat shifts under your pedals, it can get caught under the accelerator. This makes it harder to brake and can lead to a loss of control, especially in an emergency. The risk of an accident increases when the mat interferes with the pedals, preventing you from reacting quickly enough. A loose mat can also distract you while driving. If it moves around, it can take your attention off the road. This could cause you to miss important road signs or hazards, putting you at risk. Even a small movement of the mat can lead to bigger problems when you least expect it. To stay safe, always use custom-fit mats designed for your specific Mazda model. These mats fit securely and won't shift around. Generic mats from auto parts stores often don't fit as well and are more likely to move. Make sure your mats are fastened properly with anchors or clips. Also check your mats regularly for wear or damage and replace them when needed. Mistake number 7. Hanging air fresheners. You might not know this, but hanging air fresheners can actually damage your Mazda's interior. They're often seen as a quick fix for bad smells. Unfortunately, the chemicals in cheap air fresheners can cause real harm over time. The fragrances they release contain compounds that react with your Mazda's surfaces. This can lead to fading, discoloration, or even cracks in your dashboard. Many air fresheners use harsh chemicals. These chemicals can weaken materials like plastic and leather over time. They leave your interior looking worn out. The longer the air freshener hangs, the worse the damage gets. Instead, keep your Mazda clean to prevent odors in the first place. Vacuum your seats often and wipe down surfaces regularly. You can also use air purifiers or odor-neutralizing sprays made for cars. These methods are safer and more effective than using air fresheners that will harm your interior in the long run. Mistake number 6. Using aggressive compounds on Mazda's soul. Red paint modern. Mazda paint is thin, whether it's factory applied or from a repair. This isn't a mistake. It's done to save time and money. But because Mazda's paint is so thin, especially the famous Soul Red Crystal Metallic, there's little room for error when fixing defects. Things like swirls, scratches, and water spots sit below the surface. To remove them, the paint needs to be lightly abraded. The issue is that any aggressive correction removes a small amount of paint over time that weakens the finish and shortens its lifespan. Mazda's Soul Red and Machine Gray metallic paints have multiple layers that create their depth and brilliance. Aggressive polishing can remove these layers permanently. Avoid harsh chemicals like dish soap. They can strip away protective layers and cause long-term damage to your Mazda's paint. Mistake number 5. Revving a cold SKYACTIV engine. Whether it's a hot day or not, you should always let your Mazda's SKYACTIV engine warm up before driving aggressively in warm temperatures. Let the engine idle for at least a minute. In colder weather, give it at least 5 minutes. This gives the oil time to circulate and lubricate the engine properly. When you start a cold SKYACTIV engine, the oil isn't fully distributed. It takes time for the oil to reach all the engine parts and provide smooth movement. Revving the engine too soon causes serious damage to the pistons, rings, and other internal components. Cold oil is thicker and doesn't flow as well, so free revving can cause severe wear. It can even lead to catastrophic engine failure in your Mazda's high-compression SKYACTIV engine. Another mistake is relying solely on the coolant temperature gauge. Oil heats up slower than coolant, so the engine may still be cold even if the coolant is warm. To protect your Mazda's SKYACTIV engine, drive conservatively until it reaches operating temperature. Mistake number 4. Unnecessary performance modifications. Most Mazda modifications waste money without improving performance. Worse, some damage your vehicle and void your warranty. Here's what Mazda tuners won't tell you. Loud aftermarket exhausts don't increase SKYACTIV engine power. They create noise without adding horsepower. You're spending $500 to $1,500 for sound, not performance. Oversized wheels and tires are another expensive mistake. Larger, heavier wheels require more engine power to rotate. This reduces acceleration, decreases fuel economy, and makes your Mazda less responsive. SKYACTIV engines are engineered for specific wheel weights. Heavier wheels negate the efficiency Mazda engineered into your vehicle. Widening fender arches to fit oversized tires damages body panels and disrupts aerodynamics. This reduces stability at highway speeds and can cause wind noise. Repair costs for damaged fenders start at $800 per panel. The correct approach: modifications should enhance performance without compromising Mazda's engineering. Improper upgrades void your warranty, leaving you responsible for expensive repairs. Before modifying, verify the upgrade delivers measurable performance gains and maintains warranty coverage. Mistake number 3. Driving when the oil light is on. This oil light on your Mazda's dashboard means something's wrong with your oil system. It could be that your SKYACTIV engine is low on oil, the oil pump has failed, or the oil sending unit is defective. The first 2 issues are critical and need immediate attention. If the light comes on, turn the car off and check the oil level with the dipstick. If the oil is low, add enough oil to bring it up to the proper level. Once you've done that, restart your Mazda and drive away. However, if the oil is fine, the oil pump may have failed. This means not enough oil is circulating through your SKYACTIV engine. In this case, you should have the car towed to a garage immediately, unless it's just a block away. If the oil sending unit is defective, the oil light will stay on even when the oil level is fine. It may be safe to drive in this case, but it's important to fix the issue quickly. If you don't, you might ignore the oil light in the future, missing signs of a failing oil pump. This could lead to serious SKYACTIV engine damage. Mistake number 2. Ignoring the check engine light. First, the engine light can be fixed or flashing. A fixed light indicates a sensor has sent a signal that is out of specification and throws a code. Some codes will reset after a few drive cycles, but it's best to check. A code reader can quickly tell you what's wrong and may even reset the light. One of the most common issues in Mazdas is a loose gas cap. Before you panic, check if the cap is securely tightened and in good condition. A loose or damaged cap is a simple fix that could save you a trip to the mechanic. However, a flashing engine light is more serious. It signals a problem that needs immediate attention. Ignoring a flashing light can lead to costly repairs. It could mean engine misfires or issues with the catalytic converter in your SKYACTIV engine, which can get worse over time. Even though it's easy to put off, it's crucial to address the check engine light as soon as possible. The longer you wait, the more expensive the repairs could be. Don't ignore it. Take action to prevent bigger problems down the road. Mistake number 1. Skipping regular maintenance schedule. Sure, life gets busy, but neglecting routine care can lead to costly consequences. Modern SKYACTIV engines are built to go longer between oil changes, with some recommending intervals of 7,500 miles or more. But just because they can doesn't mean they should be ignored. Failing to follow Mazda's maintenance schedule can lead to serious issues. For starters, Not changing the engine oil can lead to SKYACTIV engine damage. Once that happens, repairs are expensive and time-consuming. Skipping maintenance also affects fuel economy. Old oil and worn-out spark plugs make the engine work harder. The result? Lower efficiency, more fuel consumption, and more frequent stops at the pump, which defeats the entire purpose of SKYACTIV technology's efficiency. These are small things that keep you in control on the road, and ignoring them creates unnecessary risk. If you plan to sell your Mazda, poor maintenance will lower its resale value. A well-maintained vehicle holds its value far better. Lastly, if you don't take care of your Mazda, it won't last as long as it could. Taking care of your Mazda doesn't have to be complicated, but avoiding these mistakes can save you time, money, and frustration. There you have it. 17 Mazda-specific mistakes that separate cars dying at 150,000 miles from those running strong past 300,000. These aren't generic car tips. These are mistakes that cost Mazda owners thousands in preventable repairs every year. Most Mazda problems aren't design flaws. They're owner mistakes that pile up because you don't know these critical details. Smart Mazda owners avoid these errors and keep their SKYACTIV engines running strong well past 200,000 miles without major failures. The difference between a Mazda that dies early and one that lasts comes down to avoiding these mistakes.